Welcome along, everybody. We are back for Silver. We are here in Australia, and we are ready for Season 8, Round 3. I think. Just about, anyway. We've got ourselves into the lobby, and we are ready to get going. Bear me 1 second. I'll just get the stream up so that we can see all your beautiful comments in the stream as well. But welcome along then, everybody. We are ready to get going here in Australia now. I think. Yep. Seems so. Good. Right. Good stuff. Good stuff. And oh yeah, I haven't got my headset on. That's I was wondering what I was feeling wrong. Bear me 1 second. Right, now hopefully we'll be able to hear the game audio as well. Good stuff indeed. Right then, here we go. Then Jay Hings is going to be first out of the garages then to set ourselves underway here in Oz. Hopefully you can hear the game sound. We will check on board with Jay Hings once he comes out the pit lane. But yeah, welcome along then. Ready to get going then here for round 3 then. Ultimate Beast and Mumford in the Mercedes and the Alpine respectively are joint top of the standings then with 43 points each after a win and a second place in the first 2 rounds then. So far so good then. I think Plotter's actually in the Red Bull then. He didn't have a good race in Saudi Arabia last week, but he is still 3rd in the standings then with his podium in Australia, in Bahrain in the first round of the season. Yes, there is some game audio, fantastic. Good stuff indeed. Right then, so Jay Hings then taking us through the Australian Grand Prix, or the Australian, well, the Albert Park circuit in Melbourne, and he will get us underway then hopefully for qualifying in the Aston Martin, then taking us through the Sector 2 chicane, Sector 3 chicane actually. Now into Sector 3 we go. Sector 3, a very long sector indeed around this circuit. And of course, oh dear, as he's almost, I thought he was going to crash the car out there, to be fair. Jay Hings kept it under control just about, so that's hopefully not going to happen on his qualifying lap. We'll wait and see. I've done a bit of practice around here after the patch, and almost improved my time trial time, so that's pretty good. So yeah, I think the curves are the issues now, I believe, and you can now do a bit more work with tyre pressures to improve your tyre temperatures, that sort of thing as well. So not too much difference, to be fair, before the patch. Through turns 1 and 2 then goes Jay Hings, almost losing control of the car then, but he's kept it in the track limits then, and up to turn 3 we go, or down to turn 3 we go. And coming through the car park section now, which has been a bit more closed off. Then there's more barriers around the car park section, so you can't park there, sir, anymore. Well, not so much anymore now. So good stuff indeed then. Purple, of course, in Sector 1, then into Sector 2. That dreaded curve on the exit there can catch you out, then can see a few spinners as we go through the now reprofiled back straight, which is not a straight. DRS is available then for Jay Hings, and as we go through into the chicane, 44.6 then to set ourselves underway then in Sector 2 then. A bit squirrely then through the chicane, then down towards the heavy braking zone here of this next right-hander, then making sure you get that money, get that on the money, I should say. And now into the final couple of corners then. Penultimate corner now for Jay Hings, car number 5, and round the final couple of corners. And let's see what he can do to set the qualifying times alight then to set ourselves underway here in qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. What's it going to be then from Jay Hings? It's 17.197 then to set ourselves our first time on the board. And here comes Riyadh then. Can he rival that time then? Can he beat that time? He can by a 16.5 then for Riyadh. Great stuff indeed. Almost half a second faster than the Aston Martin, I should say. Here comes Nameless then up to the line. Nameless done a 16.6 then, puts himself P2 in the Ferrari. Good stuff indeed. Then here comes his teammate Vessia. Unfortunately, Vessia has invalidated his time, so you can't see what he's going to be doing. Kamara Racer has also invalidated. Tonto is through. Here comes Plotters then up to P3, a 16.6 for him. Both the Red Bulls looking strong in the first outing here in qualifying here tonight then. Good stuff indeed then for Red Bull, that is. Mumford just starting off on lap then. Ultimate Beast just starting off on lap as well, because championship leader then is Ultimate Beast. Then here comes Swimmer P, then Reflection coming out to the line then, but I think he has invalidated his going again. I think there is a Reflection then. Let's see what the kick salver of pot stuff can do then into the, nope, we've got, Speed Car is retired. I think he's in the pit lane then as Speed Car. Yes, he is there, so he's got himself out of the qualifying, that is. Tonto's jumped up to P4 with a 16.4. Good stuff from him. Then here comes pot stuff then up to the line then for pot stuff, across the line then for pot stuff. It's a 17.0 then to set himself underway here in qualifying. Farf then is trying to get a nice little toe then down the main straight from the kick salver ahead into turns 2 as well then for Farf. Then good stuff indeed. Who's next across the line then? Mumford is flying through Sector 3 now. And we've just had Sweet MP jump up the order to a 16.6 then in the Alpine P3 now for the Alpine of 300p. Then, of course, got himself on the podium as well then last week in Saudi Arabia. Then can he keep up the feat here in Australia? Then here comes his teammate Mumford around the final couple of corners. Then Mumford then with some championship challenging to do on the medium compound tyres. Mumford, he's done a 16.4, and that is interesting stuff indeed, because he's on the medium compound tyre. Beast has done a 16.5, then he's on the soft compound tyre, so maybe the medium is not too much different than in qualifying, or maybe Mumford is absolutely on fire here. We'll have to wait and see, but looking good so far for the championship protagonist. Then of course we're very early on in the season. We have got plenty of time to change, chopping and changing. Speaking of chopping and changing, Kiki up into P1 then with a 16.3. Great stuff from Kiki. Gordo has said bonjour, good luck everyone as well then in the comment section as well then. Good luck to Gordo in the Aston Martin. Then Kiki takes pole position as well. He's had some fantastic qualifying pace. Can he convert it into the Grand Prix is the next question then for Kiki. He's had some good races as well then. Of course he got P4 in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix last week, but he was probably looking for a bit more than that actually. Sorry, I've still got COVID. Oh my god. God. Here comes Gordo then into Sector 3. Let's see what Gordo can do then in his... I think we've got both Aston Martins with car number 5, which is quite interesting. Yes, they are both car number 5 then, because that is, well, fantastic. But, of course, nothing we can do about that. Then the game doesn't let them change their numbers and everything like that. There's no order to the numbers apart from you can't pick an official F1 driver's number. Here comes Gordo then. 16.8 then for Gordo to set himself underway. Then P11 for the time being. Then Nigel's done a 16.999, which has put himself in P12. And 999, I think I'm going to be calling that later tonight then. MHD then has gone up to P2 onto the front row of the grid in the McLaren. Then a 16.4 for the McLaren reserve driver. He's in place of Mr. Elite. Both McLarens then unfortunately not turning up tonight. Kaidal is the other McLaren as well then, who has been replaced by Speed Kai. And I think we've got a couple of others then. Tonto is now full time then in the Haas after Saudi Arabia then, so hopefully he can kick on his campaign then for Team Haas as well then. Irvine is finally with us as well then. He missed the first 2 races. I think he was on holiday, so hopefully he can get himself turned around and back underway then. We've seen some good races then from Irvine in the last couple of seasons as well then. Let's see if we can hopefully regain that form as well then. Kamara Racer coming through the back straight then in towards Sector 3, and so far so good then. I think the something just popped up there. But I think that was just the bot telling Smithy to sort out the check-in then for the next race of the season, that is. Kamara Racer then down into Sector 3. Then let's see what the Williams driver can do. Can he get himself a first valid lap on the board? Then unfortunately invalidated his first run. And in the Williams car now flying through the last couple of corners then to finish off his first valid lap, that is. And let's see what the Williams driver do. Where will the Williams driver go is the question, as we come around the final corner now on the beans, then on the DRS, then on the ERS, and up to the line. Let's see what it's going to be then for Kamara. Then it's a 16.9, puts himself P12 right behind Gordo for the time being. Good stuff indeed. Got his first points of the season last week. Then did Kamara race the same for Reflection as well in Saudi Arabia. Then so both the Williams then scoring in the Principality then of Jeddah. Let's see what they can do here tonight then in Australia. A bit of a different format of the circuit then compared to Jeddah then, of course, but we will see how they're going to fare in this one. Of course, it's a bit of a treacherous circuit these days with the curbs as well, and especially this one here coming through into Sector 2. But they have negotiated it very nicely so far here in qualifying. Very busy out on track at the moment then, but here comes Reflection then with some DRS then down the back straight towards the chicane. Is he going to get a distant tow then from his teammate potentially then into Sector 3, then flying through the chicane now is Reflection and keeping it within track limits as well. Good stuff indeed. And now down towards the complex part of Sector 3 then. Here he comes heavily on the brakes once again then right in front of him. Here's Kamara. He's gone over the circuit then, but he's somehow kept it valid. Maybe lifted off then to keep himself within track limits. Then here comes Reflection then round the final couple of corners then. Car number 84 I think it is, almost losing the car then, or is it 94? I can't quite tell, but yeah, very squirrely then through the final couple of corners then for Reflection, and up to the line it's a 17.0 then into P15. But unfortunately, yeah, for Core Reflection, then had a bit of a troubled time through Sector 3, and that has cost him a few tenths here and there. But so far, so good. He's got himself a lap time on the board, at least a delta to follow then for his next attempt, as We are looking at Kian, who is going to be setting his first lap here in the session, then in the Racing Bulls car, and looking forward to seeing what Racing Bulls can be doing then in this Grand Prix. Then Farf has done a time of a 16.7 then to set himself underway for Racing Bulls. Let's see what the other one can do, and it's going to be a 17.1 then for Kian, then up into P16 then for the Racing Bulls driver. Then Vesia then is having a few issues, and he's invalidated again, has the Ferrari driver, unfortunately. Jay Hings is flying through Sector 3 now, looking to go then into the penultimate corner now for Jay Hings, then the other car, number 5 in the Aston Martin, because there's 2 of them, but they have not been sorted out by Codemasters, but nonetheless. Here comes Jay Hings then up to the line. Then what's it going to be this time? It's a 17.1. He's improved by 13 thousandths of a second, but he stays P17, unfortunately for him. Irvine is on circuit as well. Then Irvine, then it's his first qualifying attempt then in Season 8 of Silver, and looking forward to seeing what he can do then in the Grand Prix as well, because we've seen some fantastic performances, like I was saying, from Irvine. Let's see what he can do in Silver Season 8 then. Nameless has got himself into the 15s, I should say. Then Irvine, then P18, then with a 17.2, then not too far off then from his rivals though on his first attempt here in qualifying. Nameless then on to pole position with a 15.938, then almost 0.4 of a second ahead of Kiki, who is coming through. He's actually unfortunately invalidated this time, so he's not going to be coming through right now. But there we go then. Into sector 1 then, as Sweet P has jumped up to P3 with a 16.363, and my goodness me, I think Mumford there was trying to get a distant tow from his teammate then, but could have gone wrong very dramatically indeed then. We've seen an Alpine and another Alpine have a bit of an incident then very early on last season. I think it was in Formula 1, wasn't it? So yeah, thankfully they got themselves through unscathed, but here comes Mumford then on the charge then into Sector 3, into Sector 2 just yet. We haven't got to Sector 3. Not quite yet, but he's gone purple in Sector 1 then, looking good so far then for the Alpine of Mumford. Then of course trying to keep up his championship challenge as well, isn't he, in this event then. 3.5 tenths up on his time. That's fantastic stuff indeed then for Mumford. Where would that put him in terms of the rest of the grid then? As it stands, that would put him in P2 then, just behind Nameless, but he's still got a sector to improve if he can, to potentially steal away that pole position then from the Ferrari driver then into the penultimate couple of corners then for Mumford. Then let's have a look and see what car number 29 can do here in this final outing of qualifying. Well, it's not his final outing, I don't think. It could be his last outing if he wants to just call it a day after this one. But up to the line then for Mumford, it's a 16.1 then, puts himself P2 on the front row of the grid. 3.5 tenth improvement then from Mumford. Fantastic stuff indeed. Yeah, good stuff. Kiki abandons the time. He's back in the pit lanes. Kiki, unfortunately for him. Ultimate Beast then, the other championship challenger. Let's see what Ultimate Beast can do. Locking up then into the penultimate corner. Then he's flying in that Mercedes so far, keeping it under control just about. But here he comes now up to the line. What can he do? Can he get himself in the 15s? He can. It's a 15.716 from Ultimate Beast. Then puts himself in pole position then for the Australian Grand Prix with 4 minutes left of qualifying. Great stuff indeed so far. Then that's going to be a bit of a, I think, a bit of a shock then to Mumford. Then he might be having to do something about that then in the Alpine if he wants to try and keep up the challenge then for his championship. But Ultimate Beast looking strong here in Australia then. So far so good then for Ultimate Beast. Fantastic stuff indeed. Then Vesia is back out on circuit. Then Vesia's come through the into Sector 3 now, keeping it valid this time, and now in towards the depths of Sector 3 we go then, with the DRS still wide open. Then down towards the heavy braking zone as well. Like I said, 4 DRS zones around this circuit, so there's plenty of rear wing action through the qualifying laps, of course, and of course in the race then after 1 lap then from the race start, or from a safety car restart that is as well. But here comes Vesia now looking to get his first time on the board then, with only 3 minutes left of the session. He might be able to squeeze in another lap time then. 16.8 then for Vesia, puts himself P13 then, just ahead of Tonto in the Haas. Good stuff so far then for Vesia. Then he's got time, I think, just to get himself back around then. We missed Gordo. Gordo's jumped up to P4 with a fantastic, oh my god, with a fantastic 16-1 then from Gordo. Brilliant stuff indeed then in the Aston Martin, and really putting on a show here in the first or the final stages of qualifying as well then. Only 3.5 minutes or so to go in qualifying here, but Gordo has done a brilliant job then into P4 for Aston Martin. That is looking good then for them on the grid then. Vessia just coming back to the pit lane. Tonto is back out on a lap now into sector 2, and he's gone wide then through sector 2. Then that is not the optimum racing line, I don't think, then for Tonto. Trying to keep the car under control then is the difficult part, and he has managed to do that just about so far. Good stuff indeed. And for some reason my comment section isn't loading, so that's great stuff as well then. So there we are. Brilliant. Sorry about that. But Tonto then is having a few issues, it looks like, out there, trying to keep the tyres warm. Ultimate Beast has retired in the pit lane. He does not want to go back out again then, does Ultimate Beast. He wants to keep another set of soft compound tyres free for the race. Fresh for the race, I should say, and potentially hold on to that pole position, then hoping that nobody can improve any more than a 15.716 then for the Mercedes sake. Then can he stay on pole position? Then with that time, we'll have to wait and see. Then Tonto, I think, just starting off another lap here and going again then for the Haas team. Then his first full-time appearance here in the Haas team as well. Then. Same for Irvine, to be fair, because he missed the first 2 races, but now he is 35 thousandths of a second up in sector 1. Then sector 2, then you can gain a lot of time. Then sector 3 is where you can gain the most time. Then can he get a distant tow then from that Red Bull car? Then just getting out of the way down the back straight. Then DRS is enabled then for the Haas car, then flying through down towards the chicane here on the money. Then turning, then whipping the car in to the left, then whipping it to the right then as we go through the chicane. Very nice stuff indeed then for the Haas. Very good stuff from Irvine as well. Then into sector 3 we go. Yellow flags were fluttering briefly, I think, just getting cars out of the way then for on their out laps. Then there's lots of cars then on the circuit, then over the curb then into sector 3. That is not a dangerous place to be. Yes, it is a dangerous place to be, I should say, especially now after the patch as well then, supposedly. But there we go then into the final stretch then here for Irvine. His final attempt in qualifying. Let's see what's going to be. It's a 16.8, then puts himself P13 for the time being. Then good stuff indeed from Irvine, and well improved in his second attempt, I think his final attempt as well here. Here comes the other final attempt then from the other Haas driver. Then it's Tonto then coming through into the final stretch. Then here he comes in up to the line. Then what can he do? Then it's 16.8 as well. Then it's the same as his teammate, just by 4 thousandths of a second, splitting the Haas pair. And he stays, well, he goes up to P14, I should say, then for the time being then. But I think that's both Haas just done and dusted here in qualifying. Then they have run out of time, I think, to go back round and go again. Then Reflection, I think, will be next across the line, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe I am wrong. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, so good then for the rest of the field. Then where is Plotters in relation to this pack? He's just ahead of Reflection, actually. So we'll come back to him. Then Riyadh has stayed in the pit lane. So Riyadh then not coming back out then for another attempt. Then he's going to be staying P8 is best, that is, because of course there could be other drivers around him that can improve. Then Kamara up into P9 for the time being. Nigel up into P10. Then here comes Plotters. Then of course currently P3 in the championship standings then after a podium in Saudi Arabia. Then let's see what he can do then into the final couple of corners here. He needs to improve then by a few thousandths of a second then to get himself into the top 10. Then can he get better than the top 10? Let's see what he can do then up to the line for the Red Bull. It's going to be P8 then for Plotters, then a 16.4, then just ahead of his teammate now displaces Riyadh down to P9. Irvine's back in the pit lane. We've just seen it's a Williams of Kamara Racer off the circuit. Then Irvine's retired in the pit lane. He's done and dusted in qualifying. Then Kamara Racer's off the circuit at the chicane. Unfortunately for the Williams car, then he's going to have to get himself back underway. Then there comes Nigel. Then through the as pot stuff's then not improved. Then he stays P13 for the time being. Then Far coming through. Then we'll come on board back to Nigel. Then let's see what Nigel's going to sweep if he's been disqualified for facing the wrong way. Where's he gone? He's at sector 3 somewhere. Yes, he is. And my goodness me, that is a dodgy place to be. Yes. Goodness me, I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Kamara Racer just getting out of the way. Then Favre is coming through the final couple of corners. Then let's see what Favre can do as we fly through then down towards the line. Then yellow flags fluttering, I think, for that Rebel that's still on the circuit somewhere. Favre stays P11. Then where is Nameless? Nameless is in the pit lane, so Ultimate Beast, I think, will be able to hold on to his pole position. Then Kamara coming back to the pits as well. Then where's Vessia? Then Vessia up to the line. What can Vessia do? It is P9, great improvement then from Vessia. Then good stuff indeed. Then into the top 10 then for the Ferrari team. Good stuff from him. Nameless coming back to the pit lane. He's abandoned his time then, so that means Ultimate Beast is on pole position then for the Australian Grand Prix, going up in just a few moments' time. Comments not coming in. I think we just had J Marts and evening lads, and then Gordo said he messed up the last lap then. So unfortunately for Gordo, then that is bad news indeed. But he stays P4 after that qualifying attempt. Then we'll have a look at the classification very shortly then, just to have a quick flick through everyone's official times then here in Australia then. Ultimate Beast has got a 5-place grid penalty then for a collision somewhere. I'm not quite sure what's happened then. He was in the pit lane for most of the qualifying. So he must have had a collision then earlier on in qualifying. Nameless has got a... Nameless is going to be on pole position then. It's he's got a... he's got himself pole position. Very good stuff indeed. Mumford P2. Gordo P4 then. Kiki P5. Nigel P6. And MHD P7. Plotters P8. And Vessia splits the Red Bulls then in P9. Then we've got a 5-second penalty for Irvine. There's 5-place penalty for Irvine as well then. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happened here in qualifying between Irvine and Ultimate Beast, but they seem to have had some sort of issues, and yes, so that will have to be looked at after the Grand Prix. But there we go then. Yeah, we're ready to get started now for the race itself, I believe. Then we'll have a quick break then. Right then, we are ready to get ourselves started for the Australian Grand Prix. Formation lap is underway then. Yes, not quite sure what is happening then between Irvine and Ultimate Beast, but we'll have to wait and see what happens after the race, I suppose. There we go then, formation lap now underway then. We will start then from Irvine in P20 now. Medium compound tyres for the Haas driver, then hard compounds for Sweet GP, then soft compound tyres for Speed Kai and the McLaren. Red reflection on the hard compounds as well then in the Williams. Then we've got a lot of medium runners then in Jay Hings P16, Tonto P15, Kian in P14 and Potstuff in P13. Through the field then we've got Farf in P12 just outside the top 10 on the hard compound tyres, as is Kamara Racer, but he's on the medium compound tyres P11. Inside the top 10 we've got Riyadh on the medium compound tyres, same as his teammate Plotters in P8. Then Vessia sandwiched in between then on the hard compound tyres in the Ferrari. MHD Nick then on the medium compound tyres, as is Beast then, of course. Beast, he did have pole position, but I'm not quite sure what happened to him in the well, it wasn't at the end of qualifying because he didn't go out of the pit lane, so it must have been earlier on, and I missed it. Nigel then P5 then on the hard compound, same for Kiki in P4. Then he's decided to drive off the circuit then, as is Gordo, and it looks like a few people then are having a few issues completing a formation lap here. So that is interesting. So there we go then. Gordo is P3 then on the medium compound tyres. Mumford in P2 then, his championship rival then has had a 5-place grid penalty, so that is going to be very helpful for Mumford, I suppose you could say. Nameless then in P1, of course, then he is at the back of the field for some reason as well. So yeah, I think a few people then having a few issues then completing a qualifying lap around this circuit, formation lap even around this circuit. But nonetheless, hopefully we can get ourselves through the race without any issues then. Yeah, just waiting for the drivers to get themselves lined up on the grid then before we take the race start here. I hope we can take the race start here. Fingers crossed. There we go then. 5 red lights are coming on here. 5 red lights are on in Australia then. And Silver Season 8 Round 3 then is underway. And a good start from Mumford. Then there's a great start from Gorder, then flying through on the medium compound tyres. Look at him go then into turn 1. He takes the lead as we go into the first couple of corners. Then we'll quickly get all that telemetry all off the screen then, because we want to see what's going on here between the fighting pack. And in towards turn 3, Nameless has lost out then. He's going to go around the outside. Then is Kiki as well. Then Kiki's got the position then, I think, up into P. Where's that? I think that is actually Ultimate Beast then. Where's B telemetry gone? Yes, it is. It's Ultimate Beast then up into P3. Then a great start then from Beast then, trying to challenge Mumford, of course, trying to keep up with Mumford then as we go in towards the next stage of the race then, or the first few stints of the race, I should say then, just to get me telemetry sorted so I can see what's going on the screen. And Gordo with a fantastic start. Then Nigel and Kamara Racer have come a cropper then in the start of this race. Then Nigel's dropped down to the back of the field, but he's trying to get himself back into the fight as well. Then here into the chicane. Then he's got himself past Irvine now, challenging the Sweet Andrew P. Then into P17, or 4P17 I should say. Then down the hill to we go. Kamara Racer then has had another issue. Then unfortunately for Kamara Racer, the race start seemed to be a bit of an issue for Kamara, but he's got himself back underway without any damage, I think, as well. Great stuff indeed. Then finishing off lap 1 then is Gorder. Then he's flying down the start-finish straight then to complete lap 1 as the race leader then for the first time this season. Great stuff from the Aston Martin outfit as well then. Both the championship contenders then are right behind then. Mumford and Ultimate Beast then following closely indeed as we go down towards turn 3 for the second time here in Australia then. Fantastic stuff indeed so far. Locking up then is Beast, trying to get that car slowed down for turn 3 then, and now through the car park section of turns 4 and 5 then in towards that treacherous turn 6, which can catch a few drivers out. Then Nameless then had a difficult start on his hard compound tyres then, and he has dropped down to P4 from pole position then, or from the old pole position, because he was technically not on pole position because Beast got it, but he got a 5-place grid penalty with Beast, but he's now making amends on that one. Here he comes then on the back of his championship rival Mumford, trying to get into the chicane side by side. That's not a traditional overtaking place, I suppose you could say then, but here he comes then once again on the attack then. Of course DRS is available after the end of lap 1 then, so these drivers then right behind Gordo are going to have that DRS to play with then as we go into the rest of the laps, and as well then through into the final couple of corners then of lap 2 here onto lap 29, not quite yet, but onto lap 3 of 29, and flying through then for the top of the field then, right down the back then. We just saw, I think, Nigel getting himself past Irvine, then Nameless has set the fastest lap race, so getting himself back underway. Those hard compound tyres may be warming up now for the Ferrari in time for him to challenge now for those positions, once again trying to get himself back into the fight as well. Then Tonto and Speed Kai have been switching places as well, and then Tonto dropping down behind the McLaren on the soft compound tyres is Speed Kai, so that is why he is going to be very quick indeed on this first opening stint. Then down into turn 3, then trying to hold off the Haas car then, and there's a Visa Cash App Racing Bull that has gone through as well then. Into turn 5 we go, and Kian is right behind Speed Kai now. Then Tonto just having to leave off the fight then for the time being as we fly into sector 2 now as well. Then here comes the pack then chasing down Speed Kai. Then Potstaff is in a bit of no man's land as well. We've got a change for the lead, have we? Gordo and Mumford then switching places then into the chicane we go then. Not quite then for Mumford then, but there's going to be some DRS. No, it's not going to be some DRS then, because Gordo has got the DRS then on Mumford as we go into sector 3. So far so good then. Out in front then it's quite densely packed then all the way down to P12 as it stands there, but so far so good then in this opening stages of this Grand Prix. Then everyone's kept it clean and tidy as far as I can tell, but unfortunately for Nigel and Kamara, maybe not in their case, but we'll have to wait and see what happens between those two. I think they were quite close on the grid then, but Ultimate Beast has stolen a charge then on Mumford then as we go down the main straight up into P2. Then goes the Beast and into the challenging position then for the race lead. Then Vessi sets the fastest lap of the race. Then Vessi's gained a place then up into 8th place as well for the Ferrari. Good stuff from him. Then here comes Ultimate Beast on the attack then, but he can't get himself past Gordo just yet. Then the medium compound tyres for the top 2 are going to be much fresher and much faster at this stage than compared to the hards. But the hard runners of Mumford, the hard runners of Nameless, the hard runners of Kiki are holding on for the time being as well then. So far so good then, as Speed Kai could be one to watch, says Matthew as well. Then yes, I think he is going to be one to watch. He's on the soft compound tyres, and he's lost out a bit then to Kian. Nigel's picked up a 3-second penalty then for track limits, unfortunately for Nigel, then coming through into sector 2. So I think that was that dreaded right-hand curve then into that into this long straight section as well, a long non-straight section, I suppose you could say. There's the tyre situation then, as we've got a change for the lead. Then Beast is going for it then round the outside of Gordo. Then can he hold it? Yes, he can. And he's back up into the race lead, or back to the race lead there, where he's familiar with, of course, after the first 2 races. But he has only got himself into the race lead now onto lap 4. So it's been taking him 4 laps then, but he's got himself through. Now Gordo will try and chase him down, then trying to get himself into the slipstream then of the Mercedes. Then as we go down the main straight, then DRS is available then for all the drivers behind Beast then, but not for Beast himself, of course, as we go in towards turn 2 and 3, then down the hill, not really, but down towards turn 3. Potstuff's got a 3-second penalty as well. Then there's Potstuff, as warnings I should say, then picking up throughout this race as Gordo holds off Mumford then into turn 3. Just about then, as Gordo stays P2 for the time being, then through the car park section. Now he's got Mumford all over the back of him as well. Then Nameless is going to come through as well. Then Kiki is in the fight as well, as we've seen before for Team Mercedes. And so far so good then out there. But let's see which strategy is going to prevail as well. Then when will spot the speed car going to be up to, because he's on these soft compound tyres. But he's losing time then to the rest of the field. Here comes Gordo on the attack then for P1, I should say then, but he's not been able to make the move into the chicane. Then Vessi has got himself past MHD Nick, has he? Yes, he has. I think just about. Yes, he has. Good stuff indeed then. But Gordo then stays behind. Then here comes Mumford down the inside, then into sector 3. Then Tonto's got a 3-second penalty. There's contact between the Alpine and the Aston Martin, I think. And goodness me, that was close indeed. Then Nameless going to dive down the inside here as well. Then on Mumford, then trying to hold in a position still. But Mumford has the angle, has the speed just about then to keep hold of that position as well then. But the battling between Gordo and Mumford then has been costly then for the Alpine and for the Aston Martin as well slightly. As we go in towards turn 1, there's contact between Mumford and Nameless. Nameless then not far along enough, a lot far along side, I should say, to make that move, I think, and that has almost cost him dearly as well, that he held onto the car. Then Kiki trying to challenge now after Nameless is a bit of a squirrely moment, then out of turns 1 and 2 then, and in the back of the field we've got Irvine and Swing Repeater switching places. Then Reflection and Tonto then is battling away as well. Then there's contact between the Williams and the Haas car as well then, as we fly through in towards the rest of sector 2. Rest of sector 1, I should say, but Tonto's had an issue somewhere because he's lost out to the cars ahead quite significantly as well. Then here we go then in towards the back straight. We'll ride on board with this battle here because it's going to get intense, I think, here, as Reflection going to go for a move here. Yes, he's got some DRS then up into P14 now on the hard compound tyres and flying through. Then Nigel's going to come through as well. I think he might be on the attack very shortly into the chicane. Not quite then for Nigel then, but there's yellow flags ahead for Potstuff. Potstuff's had an issue on the exit of the chicane and he's cost himself part of a front wing, I think, then for the kick Sauber, I should say, and dropping down to the back of the field, unfortunately for him. Then Nigel and Tonto then switching places as well, then into sector 3, and Nigel has got himself into P13, just ahead now of the Haas car for the time being, then into the final couple of corners of the lap as well now. Good stuff indeed. Right, then out in front, then the battle resumes then for P1, as we've got about, what is that, the top 10 drivers then, I suppose, are in the fight for P1. So yeah, anything could happen in this race. I think lap 7 has commenced, and so far so good. The first quarter of the race then has unfolded pretty nicely indeed. Then into the pits comes Speed Guy. He's getting off those soft compound tyres. Same with Potstuff as well. I think having to fix that front wing. Then Swing Repeat and Tonto are battling away then through in the car park section. Then Tonto then holds on to the position for the time being. Then as we go through in towards sector 2 now as well. Both the Haas is now trying to sandwich that Alpine as it stands at the moment. Then out in front, and then Gordo has claimed the lead back then on Ultimate Beast, and into the chicane we go then, and the Aston Martin now is ahead then, but he's being pushed still by the Beast as we go down towards the end of sector 2. Swing Repeat's got himself past Tonto. Ultimate Beast is dropping down the field. What's happened to Beast then? He's really lost out massively. Then he's lost out 3 places there as we try and tuck in. Then both the Mercedes going to go side by side through here. There's going to be almost a spin as well. Then there's contact as well. Gordo's lost out then to Mumford and to Nameless. Now the soft compound tyres, the medium compound tyres struggling here. Kiki's had an issue then somewhere as Kiki's ghosting. Then he has got himself back underway, but Not quite sure what happened then between Kiki and Riyadh. Then as we go into turn 1, then that's close indeed. Riyadh's picked up a 3-second penalty then for multiple track warnings as well. Then unfortunately for the Red Bull car, then in towards turn 3 we go then. And so far so good. There's a squeeze then from Gordo on the Ferrari of Vessia then, but Vessia's done a good job of getting himself up into P5 then. Not quite sure what happened to Beast into sector 3 then, as MHD's had an issue as well then in the car park section. He's lost a bit of front wing as well, then he's back underway, but he's unfortunately going to drop out of the toll. My goodness me, that was dangerous stuff indeed then, and he's almost dropping out of the top 10. I said he has dropped out of the top 10 then with that wing damage as well then. We'll see what happens there. Gordo has been passed then by Vessia. Now the medium compound tyres I think starting to struggle then for Gordo. He's not got much ERS to play with either as well then. Farf has been passed by Kiki back up into P7. Now is Kiki trying to recover after whatever happened at the exit of the chicane here on the last lap. We didn't quite see it, but he was ghosted for some reason in the final corner. So yes, that is odd. Vintage has said bonjour as well then, evening all from Vintage as well then. Good to have you in the chat as well then. I think the chat is it's there, but it's only sending me some messages for some reason, so it's a bit odd at the moment. But thank you very much for your support, whoever is in the comment section, because like I said, we appreciate you being here, but we can't see you. Well, we can see some of you, but we can't see all of you, unfortunately. So that is that then. As into the pits comes MHD then to fix that front wing then. Nameless has lost out the lead of Mumford then. Mumford is up into P1 then. This could be extending his championship, or putting himself into the fight, into the lead of the championship, I should say. If it holds on this way, then there's still 20 laps to go after this one as well. Then Farver's got himself back past Kiki's. Kiki's had a spin then and had a problem at the exit of turn 4. He is back underway. Just about quickly enough then, but to stay in the top 10. But Kian now is going to be all over the back of him into sector 2. So that could be very bad news indeed for Kiki. Then Jay Hings up into P9. Then he is on a charge once again. Then yellow flags for a kicked Sauber car. It's Potstuff then getting himself back underway then, but Potstuff's had an issue somewhere then in the final corner. I think they're getting himself back underway for him. Good stuff indeed then. Nameless then charging on then down towards turn, well I can't remember what turn number it is, I'm afraid, sorry. So there we go. You can tell me in the comment section, I suppose, if I can see it, that is. But so far so good then. Oh my goodness me, Beast then almost losing control of the car going through into sector 3 then, and that was very dangerous stuff indeed then for the Mercedes driver. Both Mercedes drivers have had an issue then already on this lap, as we've got Kiki then dropping out of the top 10 now, being passed then by Kian into sector 3 then, as we've got I think Kiki's going to fight back then. We've got an Aston Martin then of Jay Hinks trying to catch up to the top 8 now. Top 8 spreading away then. Plotters has picked up a 3-second penalty then. Kian has been passed back by Kiki now into P10 for the Mercedes driver, trying to catch up to Jay Hinks then and trying to get himself back in the fight here as well then for Kiki. Goodness me, Speed Guy sets the fastest lap of the race. Of course, he has pitted already then for a fresh set of medium compound tyres after starting on the soft compound tyres. The only driver to do so as well here. Everybody else, I think, opting for a one-stop strategy, then mediums to hards or hards to mediums, vice versa. Whichever way around you want. But so far so good then. Here comes Ultimate Beast then. He's not Beast actually, it's Vessia then putting the pressure on Beast himself. Into the chicane we go then. Into the chicane we go, almost nose to tail then as we fly through there in almost formation there. Great stuff indeed. So far so good then, out in the lead then. Sweet P has been passed by Nigel, has a yes into P13. Now goes Nigel, picks up a 3-second penalty on the exit of the chicane, unfortunately for Nigel as well. Penalties rolling in, and we might see quite a few penalties around this circuit just for the track limits, that is. It's oh my god, that's very deep on the brakes end from Tonto, then into the back of Sweet P, then pushing the Alpine through the sector as Kamara is off at the chicane again. Got himself back underway quickly enough though, but unfortunately for Kamara then he's struggling out there as well. Then Jay Hings into the box then for the Aston Martin. Where is he? There he is. Where is he going to go then for his next tyre choice? Then it's hard compound tyres for Jay Hings then, back underway then, potentially going to go for trying to go for an undercut here as well then, and get himself back into the fight then for the top positions as well. I thought we saw somebody going off then, but I think it was all right then. Reflection is on the charge then. He's got Sweet P's on the charge then. He's got Nigel ahead of him. Reflection is on the back then of Kian for the top 10 positions then. MHD has got himself past Kamaru. Kamaru is in the pit then for a wing change and a set of hard compound tyres. Mumford and Nameless will switch places then. Nameless takes the lead here in Australia then. Fantastic stuff indeed then for the Ferrari team, and going strong so far then for Ferrari then. P1 and P4 currently as it stands then, and all in the fight here for this win here potentially as well. Then Kian back past Kiki then as these two resume their fight then. Same for Sweet 100p then, and Nigel then, as we go into Sector 3. Vessia and Beast then battling away then side by side. Then Vessia's going to send it in there, and that's going to be contact. Then thankfully both cars then stayed in the same order then, but now Gordo's going to try and pick his spot as well then, is Gordo then into the final couple of corners then. Vessia's almost lost the car then, he's kept it under control then, but now Gordo's going to fight on then here down the main straight then. Favre's got himself past Plotters then, as they're very close in proximity then. Any little mistake then can be costly indeed, but they've got themselves through turns 1 and 2 unscathed. Tonto's in the pits then, he's called it a day on the medium combat tires already as well then, same as Jay Hings, so potentially these two are going for a nice undercut to get themselves ahead of their rivals. Potentially we'll have to wait and see where will Jay Hings come out then in relation to Tonto. I think he's going to be miles ahead, and here is Jay Hings as he flies through turn 1 now then. Tonto out of the pit lane, he's going to be ahead of MHD Nick, and or NK I should say, as he's got himself back underway then. Kamara Racer picks up a 3-second penalty then for his troubles as well then. He's not having a great time out there here in Melbourne then tonight. Vessia then back past Gordo then, as these two carrying on a fight here, but Vessia then on the hard compound tyres I think is now in the prime spot then, prime opportunity then with the best tyres at this stage of the race. I would hazard a guess that is, but I'm not quite sure. So there we go then. Nigel's got himself past Irvine then. Sweet Repeat and Reflection have had an issue. Reflection's had an issue then somewhere in the chicane then, where no, yeah, I think he might have been Reflection. Yeah, Nigel got himself past Irvine, and then Reflection had an issue. That is what's happened there somewhere. So, unfortunately for Reflection, then getting himself back underway. More pit stop activity. Then Beast is coming into the pit lane. Then from the medium compound tyres. Then he's slowed it down just in time. Then same for Gordo, same for Plotters as well. Then into the box. Then for the Red Bull and the Mercedes as well. Hard compound tyres going on those 3 cars, I would imagine. And back underway we go. Where will the pack come out then is the question then, compared to those who have not pitted just yet then. Coming down the pit straight then, we've got Speed Kai who has pitted but will have to pit again then, and where will he come out then in relation to where are they? Oh my god, Plotters then is going over the where is Plotters going then on the exit there? He's gone all over the place, and that has been very costly indeed for the Red Bull. He's lost out to Speed Kai then. Favre's got a 3-second penalty then for multiple warnings as well then, unfortunately for Favre picking up the penalties around here. Well, not for Favre just specifically, but we've seen quite a few drivers picking up the penalties already around here, halfway through almost this Grand Prix as well then. So far so good then. Beast out of the pit lane, and he's got himself a challenger then of Gordo then. Gordo is going to hold on through the DRS as well then for the potential net race leader this Grand Prix. Mumford has got himself past Nameless then into P1, back up into P1 then for the Alpine, looking strong out here as well. Then Vessia trying to catch up to the fight in this battling pack then as well. Then after those two are pitted, that has been costly for Vessia. He's lost DRS then to the top 2 for the time being, that is. How quickly will Beast catch up then, and when will Irvine start to think about pit stops as well then? Into the pits comes Riyadh then from P5. When will Irvine come into the box as well then? Is he going to come in now? Yes he is then. He's going to get out of the way of Beast quickly enough then, as we've got Beast coming through the final corner now. Gordo is still very close indeed then, flying through then. Speed Car unfortunately has dropped off the back of this pack then. He's lost out then to Gordo and to Beast as well then, with that undercut as well. A fantastic undercut which actually worked out pretty nicely indeed. For Speed Kai, but it would have been even better if he held DRS. Then out of the pits comes Irvine. Then where's he going to come out in relation to Kian and MHD? It's going to be close indeed. Then there's going to be close indeed. Then into turn 1. Where is he? There he is. Then into the back of the Haas goes MHD, and I think you need to be a bit prepared then for cars to be coming out of the pit lane. When you can see the cars coming out of the pit lane as well, then unfortunately MHD has gone into the back of the Haas there, I think, and has cost himself a right end plate then for the McLaren team. Mumford has lost out to the lead, then Nameless back up into P1, then Reflection and Nigel switching places, then Far from Vessia switching places as well as we go into Sector 3 then, where was Reflection? Reflection got himself past Nigel, then into P7 now for the Williams car. Good stuff indeed, so far so good for Williams in that respect. Unfortunately the Kamara Racer, he's having a horrible time out there, but hopefully he can get himself back underway. Kia and MHD then switching places. I think MHD is going to have to pit again for that wing change, or for a wing change I should say, because I didn't predict the Haas car of Irvine coming out of the pit lane. And Mumford has picked up a 3-second penalty. That is going to be very costly indeed. Mumford then with a 3-second penalty. That's going to be added to his race time at the end of the Grand Prix if Beast can keep it clean. then that could be promoting him back up ahead of Mumford then in the championship fight then, and in this race as well. Then Vessia and Favre going side by side through the car park section as Kamara picks up another 3-second penalty for his troubles as well. Then pit stop activity then for Sweet 100p then, and for Nigel as well, then coming out of the pit lane there in P14 and 15. Not quite, no, because P16 and 17 actually, or something like that. Vessia's picked up a penalty as well. Yellow flags all over the place now as, my goodness me, what is going on here then? Kiki, I think it's where's Gordo gone? Gordo's got himself ahead of Beast. No, I thought it was Gordo then having an issue then, because I completely didn't see where he went then, but Gordo is going to go on the attack now and try and get himself past Reflection up into P5 now for Gordo. Then Beast follows him through as well into P6 now, as well as Gordo's taken the net race lead as it stands, but so far so good then. There's lots of racing still to unfold then. Kiki has I think dropped behind Plotters then, has he? Kiki's having a few issues out there, unfortunately for Kiki. Then in the other Mercedes, then he's had a few issues in Saudi Arabia then, but he's still got himself a P4. Can he match that feat and at least get some big points for himself and the team here in the constructors fight? Then Speed Kite now into P10 then, but of course he has got to pit again, I would imagine, after pitting from the softs to the medium compound tyres very early on. Then Reflection is calling it a day on the hard compound tyres, and into the box goes Reflection. Then Kiki's had a problem at the final corner, and Kiki's had a spin then at the final corner. He's back underway now, but Kiki then is just going from bad to worse now for the Mercedes driver. Then he was looking strong here in the first outings of the race, first half of the race. Then unfortunately a few errors have cost him, and that's cost him dearly now as well. There's right front wing issues as well then, I think, then for the Mercedes driver back underway. But he will have to pit now for sure. Then he does need to make a pit stop at some point in this race as well then, but unfortunately for Kiki, that is going to be a very much forced pit stop now as well then, with that wing damage as well. Into P3 goes Vessia, then these two resuming their fight then for P3, but there we go then. Beast is back up ahead of Gordo now with some DRS then into P5 now for Beast. And of course there are 9 seconds or so behind the top 4, but of course there's a 3-second gap or 4-second gap almost between the top 2 and Vessia, as we got more action, more problems then, as Kiki has gone off the circuit again. Then has he? No, I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Blimey, it seems to be action packed, and into the chicane we go then, and I couldn't even keep up with all of that because there was too many arrows all over the place. Nameless is pitting then from the hard compound tyres onto a set of medium compound tyres now. Irvine has got himself ahead. Has got himself ahead of Nigel then into P12. Potentially with no penalties as well at the moment for Irvine, he could get himself into the range then of a top 10 finish then, which would be pretty good stuff indeed for his first start of the season. But it is looking good so far then, as it stands, that is of course. Then Kiki in the box, then he has called it a day then finally on the hard compound tyres, and I think we'll be interchange that onto those onto a new front wing as well then. Out in front then, I think Vessia's had an issue as well then, because Favre is now 3 seconds ahead of Vessia, and I'm not quite sure what's happened there between the two of them, but probably Favre at fault. Kian then and Sweet 100p then battling away then through the car park section as well, and once again then these two are resuming their battles then in this very treacherous part of the circuit. Then Gordo has got himself back past Beast, then into the chicane we go. Then the Aston Martin now takes the net race lead away then from the Mercedes, that is for the time being, but we go speeding down towards the end of sector 3 now as well then. Good stuff so far. Plotters then on the attack then. Nameless of course has just pitted for the fresh medium compound tyres. Mumford is in the box then from the race lead. Let's see what tyres he's going to go on to. There's all sorts of action here as well. Then these 5 then are having a fantastic battle indeed. Then here comes Irvine on the back of Nigel. Then can he get himself past and into P12 I should say. They're not quite. Then Kiki picks up a penalty. Then there's all sorts of action going up further ahead as well. Then Mumford out the pit lane, where it's going to come out in relation to Nameless. And Plotters is actually in the fight as well here, which is good stuff from Plotters. He has done a great job then going under the radar then for the Rebel car, but he's pitted now onto the hard compound tyres, and he's back underway then, same time as Beast and Gordo, so he's going to have the same tyre life then as the current 2 race leaders. Mumford is out in P5 then. So he has done a couple of extra laps on those hard compound tyres. He's going to have much fresher medium compound tyres compared to the those who have pitted, of course, a couple of laps earlier as well. Then, so we'll have to wait and see how it's going to unfold for them. As my goodness me, then this battle here, Irvine and Reflection and goodness whoever else is involved. I think the rest of the grid then is involved as we go into the into turns 5 and 6 now as well. Yeah, God, that looked pretty dangerous, but they got themselves through unscathed somehow. Vessin out on the fresh medium compound tyres. He's in P12, but of course he's on the freshest rubber then on the grid. Then the same for Farf, same for Mumford as well. Then as here comes the Ferrari on the attack, then into the chicane. Oh my goodness me! I thought that was going to be close indeed, but thankfully they got themselves through, and Vessin then takes P11 away from Nigel. For the time being, that is, because now under pressure, then here comes Kian down the inside, then he's been spun then by the kick salver, then not an overtaking position or place you should be, in my opinion, but there we go. What does my opinion matter? I haven't done any league racing in the last 5 years or so, have I really? But there we go, then into turn 1, then Farf takes back the place then on Speed Car, who's on much older tyres. Of course he's done probably going to be on a 2-stop then, because I don't think he's going to get those medium compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix then for the McLaren. Then into turn 3 we go, then Farf holds on to the position for the time being. Good stuff indeed then from Farf. Then he's got himself up into P8 for the time being as well. Then out in front, then 3.7 seconds separates Gordo and Beast then from Nameless in P3. Can they hold out then on the Ferraris on much fresher medium compound tyres? Gordo's taken the position and taken the race lead back again from Ultimate Beast then. Equaz said Tonto big fan, says it says Equaz in the comment section as well that Tonto's currently holding out for his points then, first full-time appearance then for Tonto in the Haas. Then he's currently holding out for first full-time points as it stands as well then, looking good out there then for Tonto. So far so good as well. Of course penalty situations can come into the fight as well, then we'll have to wait and see how it's going to play out then. Jay Hings has been passed then by Farf, but Jay Hings is going to try and stay, oh my goodness me, try and stay within the DRS then of the Alpha Tauri Racing Bulls car, blimey. Yeah, he's unfortunately that mistake might be very costly indeed then for Jay Hings, then trying to get himself back underway. Then DRS of course still available. Then Potsdam picks up a penalty. Unfortunately for Potsdam, it's not going his way tonight either, the same as Camaro. And for Kiki then, who's down in P20, I didn't notice what happened to Kiki then, but he seems to be quite far off the back of the field as it stands as well then, which is a big shame indeed then. Farf then has taken P7 then and tried to scamper away then from Jay Hings and Speed Kai. We'll have to be thinking about a pit stop, I think, in the next few minutes or so, or few laps or so I should say. And not Jay Hings, Farf has picked up another penalty. We'll have a look at the penalty situations in a brief moment or so. But there we go then, Gordo's taken back the lead then. They are doing a bit of team tactics even though they're not in the same team at this moment, but Gordo and Ultimate Beast then are working together actually to try and keep the gap then to Nameless, I think, at this stage of the race, and they're keeping the gap over 3.5 seconds as it stands as well then, with those with the fresher medium compound tyres. And you can just see Gordo escaping then into the last few corners of sector 3, yeah, I think they're just doing a good job doing the working together at this stage of the race and to try and hold off from the rest of the field. And Kiki picks up a penalty then for his troubles out there as well. Then he is struggling as Kiki now for some reason. He's just gone off the boil, unfortunately for Kiki, then after that mistake then in the earlier stage of this race then. But we're on to lap 21 now of 29 then. Thank goodness for me it's flying through, because I'm about to fall over I think and pass out, so far so good then. Gordo and Beast then challenging away then. Plotters in P4 then. He's done a good job then, Plotters, after a bit of a difficult first stint of this race. But now back in the fight then. Mumford is caught up in this battle as well then, and Mumford of course wants to be challenging then for the podiums then, for the race wins as well. As you can see a Red Bull going wide then. Mumford now trying to go around the outside. That kind of opened the door then for Mumford to make a move then for P4 then. Yes, it has, as we go up into, oh my goodness, I thought he was trying to turn into him then. Beast and Gordo switch places again then, has Beast and Gordo, but now Gordo takes back the lead and up into P1 or once again then. DRS of course available then for the Aston Martin. Not quite sure what Nameless is up to then, because he doesn't need to be weaving around there. Speed Kai and Jay Hings then battling away then. Speed Kai has got himself through then. Beast has picked up a penalty as well then. That is costly indeed then for Beast, and this could be great news for Gordo and for Nameless, because they could be in prime position without having to do anything of winning this Grand Prix now as well, with the penalty situation then for the drivers around them as well. Everybody in the top 10 has got penalties. I think Speed Kai will have to pit very soon. He's going very slowly indeed then, is Speed Kai then. Those hot medium compound tyres I think are well past their sell-by date. Jay Hings on the attack now, and he has got himself back through and up into P8 now for Jay Hings. Good stuff indeed then in the Aston Martin then, once again looking strong indeed then, as we've got an issue then for Nigel then out of the final corner, and he's back underway there is Nigel then. Good stuff indeed. MHD is back in the pit lane. and calling it a day, I think, on those hard compound tyres. Then potentially go for a soft compound and go for a fastest lap point of the race here. Then same potentially then could be the case for MHD, for Kamara, then for Potstuff and for Kiki as well. Then Gordo's lost out to Ultimate Beast, then into the race lead. Then goes the Beast. Then Mumford up into P3, getting himself past Nameless as well here. And Nameless now, sorry, not Nameless now, Mumford on the charge now as well. Then Gordo has got himself up into the race lead there, as I'm not quite sure what happened to Beast then, but he seemed to have struggled somewhere through the chicane, because now Gordo is back through without the DRS as well then. So interesting stuff indeed. But now on to lap 23 very shortly indeed as well. Then we're going to have we're going to have 6 laps or so to go in this Grand Prix, and there could still be a tale of woe, a tale of triumph. We don't know who's going to be claiming it, but somebody might claim it eventually. But we'll have to wait and see. Then Beast now on the attack. Then Mumford is 2.2 seconds back from the pair who are leading this Grand Prix at this stage of the race as well. Then can he get himself into the range, and will his tyres be holding out then at the end of the race to be able to go for a move then to challenge then for the race lead? Then penalties permitting, that is, of course, because we've got quite a few penalties racking up here as well. Then apart from only a few drivers, then Farf from Riyadh then switching places, then Farf up into P6. Then that's terrible news, because Farf is doing well. But there we go then. Nameless, Gordo, Speed, Kai, Sweet MJP, Irvine and Kian, and MHD of course as well, then have no penalties in this Grand Prix. Then everybody else has got at least one penalty, as Gordo then relinquishes the lead, then back to Ultimate Beast, then on to lap 23 then. And Nameless gets back past into P3 then ahead of Mumford with some DRS assistance as well. But we'll have a look quickly at the penalty situation now as well. Then 3 seconds for Beast as we slide into sector 3 then for Beast as well. Then good stuff indeed. Mumford has got 3 seconds as well then. 6 for Plotters, 6 for Farf, then 3 for Riyadh and 6 for Jay Hings. Then Speed Kai has no penalties but has to stop again, I would imagine, because he is going to be under pressure here very shortly from the likes of Tonto then, and the likes of Reflection as well then shortly as well, as they've got a whole queue then just outside the top 10 then, starting to form, then trying to get themselves into those points paying positions here as well then. So not too far away then for the likes of Sweet GP, then the likes of Vess here, the likes of Irvine as well. Then they're all in the fight here as we go into the final few laps of this Grand Prix. Goodness me, I think I need to lie down. But so far so good then. Nigel is in the pit lane, so he's calling it a day then on the hard compound tyres. He's into the box then, he's Nigel calling it on the hards. Speed Car has been passed by Tonto, but Tonto's gone too deep then into turn 3. Then that has been very costly for Tonto. He's lost out and he's lost time then as well. Then Reflection's been passed then by Sweet MJP, I think, then into P11. Then out in front, then Gordo is back up into the race lead as well as we take ourselves through the chicane. Then this time then on to lap 24. Then look at the gap now, it's 1.3, 1.2 seconds in the background. Then Plotter's almost lost the car as well. Then Riyadh's got himself back past Far for P6. Well, I thought there was a car going off then, but there we go. Now the gap almost 1.1 seconds, and it's getting closer and closer. The medium compound tyres from Nameless and from Mumford then are getting themselves back in contention here as well. Then driver of the day is out in the comments section as well. Then your choices: Gordo, Sweet GP, Beast and Mumford, as we go flying on to lap 25 here. We're 25 or 29, then we've got 5 laps remaining. Then there is the gap, then he's now within DRS range, then is Nameless of the top 2. Then he's got himself into contention now as well. Then Beast is going to be very panicky, I think, here as well. Then he doesn't want to see that Ferrari and that Alpine in his wing mirrors at all. Then does Beast. Then of course they're his championship rivals, and that's going to be very costly indeed. Then Gordo is going to be trying to hold on then for the race win as well here. He doesn't want to relinquish anything in the Aston Martin either. Then Sweet, if he picks up a penalty, unfortunately for Sweet, that's his first penalty then as well. We were just, I think a commentator cursed him, to be fair, because that is my fault for saying that he was had no penalty and he was doing very well. Gordo then has been passed then by Beast, then into the chicane we go then, and now into the lead goes Beast. Nameless now is in DRS range, so Nameless is going to have that rear wing open, I think, here as well. Yes, he is. So he has got the rear wing open now as well. Then Mumford then trying to challenge as well here into the next last couple of laps, I should say, of this Grand Prix. Then Tonto has got past Speed and past Jay Hings. Then into the chicane we go then, and there he's got himself through very nicely indeed there, just in time, ahead of Jay Hings then, and Jay Hings now under pressure. Then Speed Kai, he's on the very old medium compound tyres. Yellow flags are fluttering then for what's happened for yellow flags. I think it might be for pot stuff then getting out the way. I think it's pot stuff getting out the way, thankfully. I thought there was some sort of issue. Then Sweet Peace had an issue somewhere as well. and that has been very costly indeed for the Alpine, and he's dropped down the field. Then Kian and Nigel then switching places, and Kian, no, oops, what's going on here? I'm completely lost. I think Nigel's lost his front wing, which is the problem. There is your position changes, I should say. Let's have a look at the position changes. Of course, Beast then with a 5-place grip penalty for nothing in qualifying has got himself back up into the race lead and gained 5 places doing so as well. Then Gordo's got 1 place gained after starting P3 then, of course, with Beast's penalty. And then we've got Plotters up 3, Riyadh up 4, then Farf up 5, then yellow flags again. 7 places for Tonto, then 9 places for Speed, 6 places for Jay Hings, then holding on to the top 10 for the time being as well then for Jay Hings. Looking good so far then. Good stuff indeed. But let's have a quick look and see what's going on here in the battles then. All sorts of action flying in, as fastest laps flying in as well then. Jay Hings back ahead now of Speed Kai. He needs to try and hold on to that place this time then, because Speed Kai's tyres I think are going to be dead. They're on, I think we'll have a look at the tyre situation as well then, because we've got he's on 19 lap old medium compound tyres. I think Jay Higgs needs to try and get himself out of that DRS window so that he doesn't get involved in the battling then for that. Then Kiki picks up the fastest lap of the race. Then great job from Kiki for soldiering on out here as well. Then needs to make sure he crosses the line at the end of lap 29 to finish the race then and claim that fastest lap point as well for himself and the team. Nigel's on the soft compound tyres as well, so both the kicks out was then going for the fastest lap point here as well. Kamara Racer the same, then Kian has just got himself the fastest lap, I believe. No, it's Kiki just got the fastest lap of the race. Good stuff indeed. Then Reflection picks up a penalty as well then for his troubles out there. Gordo then is in prime position then for the time being then to hold on to this race lead then, but he's got Nameless now for company as we go on to the final couple of laps here of this Australian Grand Prix. Then there could be a 4-way fight then for the race lead, or for the checkered flag that is, but as we go through the chicane then once again then lap 27 then of 29 then Gordo's got some DRS then to play with. Then can he get himself past? He's gone on the grass then as Gordo, so that is dangerous stuff indeed. Then Nameless is going to dive down the inside there as well. Then that is dangerous stuff indeed from Nameless. And now Beast is going to try and challenge as well. Then Beast has got himself back through then up into P2. Oh my god. God, that was dangerous stuff indeed then from the Ferrari. Yellow flags for a yellow flags. I think Speed Car might have picked up a puncture here. It looks like he might have done actually out there. He's had an issue somewhere in sector 2, which is just a straight, so he has got some sort of issue. Kiki's back in the pit lane. Gordo has got the race lead. Here we go then on to lap 28, the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here. Then we'll have a quick look through the penalty situation then for you shortly, so you can pick your driver of the days. Quickly stuff indeed in the comment section. Hopefully the driver of the day poll is working as well this time, but probably not. But there we go then. It seems like the YouTube comment section and voting system is having a few issues these days. There is the penalty situation then. There's quite a lot of penalties out there, of course, as we can see. Then Plotters picks up another penalty as well. Then yellow flag then for a McLaren. I think it's Speed Kai still having an issue. I think he has got a puncture out there somewhere. Gordo has lost out to Ultimate Beast then into the lead of the Grand Prix. Goes Beast then on the penultimate lap of the race as well. Then into the chicane we go, then flying through. Then Gordo needs to hold on to P2 here, otherwise he could be in danger of losing out that position then to Nameless as well. Then in towards sector 3 we go then, and no moves being made just yet. Then where are the position changes? There's the position changes then as we go on to the final lap of the Grand Prix here. And so far it has been, well, this race has been absolutely epic. This season so far has been absolutely epic, as Gordo's had an issue then. And this could be opening the door then for Nameless. Then Gordo under pressure, as maybe has cracked under pressure as well. Then let's have a look and see as we go in towards turn 1. Then Gordo then has held onto the place then for the time being through turns 1 and turns 2. But now Nameless then is going to be charging up the battery, ready to go for an overtake. Then ready to go for the attack here in this last lap here. But here comes Mumford steaming down the inside. Then Mumford has gone for a dive bomb there. And my goodness me, then Nameless has lost out then to the championship challenger, and Mumford has got himself up into a P2 or P3 I should say as it stands. And he's going to lose that place anyway because of the penalty situation as it stands as well then. But that is good news I think then for Gordo I should say then, because he's now got Mumford to defend from instead of Nameless then on the medium compound tyres. And as we fly through into the chicane then on the final lap of the race, then there's a yellow flag for a Williams car that's got stranded at the chicane again, and unfortunately that is costly indeed. Then Nameless and Mumford then switching places then, and Mumford has backed out of that one, and I think he knew that he didn't need to fight that one because he could hold on to P4, so P3 I should say. But out of the final couple of corners here, and we've got a Williams then just getting out of the way as well, I think, hopefully. But out of the final couple of corners, then Beast is going to come through the final couple of corners to claim the win on the track. But with the penalty situation, then it's Gordo that's going to claim his first race win then of his silver career. Then a fantastic performance then from the Aston Martin. He takes the crown here in Australia, here down under. And the Aston Martin driver then is going to be ecstatic with that one. What a race win then from Gordo then. He has claimed a fantastic victory here in Melbourne then. And great stuff indeed then from Gordo. What a race then from the Aston Martin driver as well then. Brilliant stuff indeed then. Nameless P2 in the end then, having to fight then tooth and nail in that last few laps, then has got himself a P2. Then Beast P3 in the end. Then he has beaten his championship rival then by 3 points. But it's not the best result that Beast wanted, of course, with that penalty being added onto his race time at the end of the Grand Prix. Then Mumford P4 then keeps his championship fight alive. Then with Beast, of course, he's only 3 points behind. Then in the end, then Plotters P5, then Riyadh P6 in the end. Great stuff, great result, I should say. Then from Red Bull, Farf P7, then Irvine in P8. Then great result from Irvine and Tonto on their first full-time appearances here in the Silver Season 8. Then they've both got themselves some points in their first full-time appearances. Vessia rounds off the top 10. Reflection P11, Jay Hings P12, then Sweander P13, Kian P14, Speed Kai P15, Kamara Racer will come home in P16, MHD P17, Pot Stuff in P18, Nigel P19, and Kiki P20. I believe Kiki got the fastest lap of the race as well, so yes, done 17.265. Great stuff from Kiki for staying in this race. But goodness me, what a race that was indeed. That was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, brilliant stuff indeed then. And we'll run through the classification then very shortly then for the Australian Grand Prix of Silver Season 8 then. But so far so good. The season's been absolutely cracking. Brilliant stuff indeed then. Track limits, as somebody in the comments section, in the Discord I should say then, yeah, I think there was quite a few then with track limit warnings out there. Quite a few penalties racking up then for the track limits as well then. Good stuff indeed then. And there we are. There's your podium sitters then. Gordo takes the race win then in the Aston Martin. Fantastic result from him then. Nameless P2 then. Great reserve appearance as well then from the Ferrari driver then. And Ultimate Beast rounds off the top 3. And there's your classification. And there's the top 3 then. Mumford P4, Plotters and Riyadh in the Red Bull then P5 and 6. Then Farf P7, Irvine and Tonto in the Haas. Great result from the Haas team. P8 and 9. Then Vessia rounds off the top 10. Then Reflection, Jay Hings, 300p Kian, Speed Kai, Camaro, MHD, Potstuff, Nigel and Kiki. Unfortunately outside the top 10, and Kiki with the fastest lap point. No retirements here in this Grand Prix, which is brilliant to see. When fair play and credit to all the drivers then who carried on in this race, even if the race was not going their way as well. Brilliant stuff indeed then. Right then, we'll get an interview or two, I think, underway, shall we? And we will hopefully start off with our P3 man tonight. Then Ultimate Beast and the championship leader. Then you have now got a championship lead to contest with, because you've got yourself a gap now to Mumford of 3 points. But talk to us about that race. Then you had a 5 place. Well, firstly, let's have a look at qualifying. You had a 5 place grid penalty for something that happened in qualifying. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, a bit of a mistake on my end. Nervine was on his lap going into turn 2, I think it was. I was on the left. I quickly changed to the right-hand lane because the left-hand lane is the racing line. But he ended up on the right-hand lane, so he just hit me in the back. And we both got 5 place grid penalty. But
And it was unfortunate then for yourselves, but both of you actually ended up in the points, so ended up doing pretty well in that race as well. So fair play indeed. You got yourself that penalty, but it didn't seem to phase you really at the start of that Grand Prix either, did it? Because you were flying through then, and we thought it was Kiki at one point because he started a bit further up than you, but it was actually yourself then on the medium compound tyres, absolutely flying on the first lap, then up into P3, then into the podium places straight away. And did you think you had the pace still to win this Grand Prix?
Possibly. There was a lot of people in hards on this track, so I was a bit scared of them. Obviously, late race is always better to be on mediums. But we never know.
And that, unfortunately, that 3-second penalty cost you in the end. Then that potential race win. Then, and well, it was not too bad in the end because your rivals all had penalties as well. But what was your thoughts when you picked up that penalty? Did you think that was it, done and dusted? Then,
To be fair, I was a bit annoyed, but at the same time, I didn't think I was going to cross the line first anyway, because the medium runners was catching up rapidly. But at the end, they wasn't catching that fast for some reason. Probably dead tires, but yeah, I don't know how I did that, but I pulled it off.
Still a good result indeed. Then you kept up your podium runs then throughout this 3 rounds, or only 3 rounds so far, but the first 3 rounds of the season. Then, if you start off with 3 podiums, then it's still not a bad start to a season in my opinion as well. Then, so what's your thoughts then for round 4 in Japan?
I definitely feel more comfortable around Japan than Australia. High speed is all a bit of me on this game. Yeah, looking forward to Japan, to be fair.
Great stuff indeed. Well, hopefully we'll see you back for your 4th podium as well then. Brilliant stuff from
Hopefully.
Ultimate Beast then. He's now got a championship lead of 3 points over Mumford after that final podium place then here in Australia tonight then. Great stuff. Well done to Ultimate Beast then. I believe we've got Nameless who has joined us as well then. P2 then for yourself in the Ferrari tonight, that is. And well, you had we had a race-long battle with the likes of Beast, Gordo, Mumford, and quite a few others as well. Then, can you tell us about your race?
Yeah, it was a very fun race, and unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough for the win. I tried everything, working together with Alpine to get close to the hard runners, but yeah, P2 it was a great race and very fun.
And well done to yourself as well. Then a brilliant performance, as we've seen from you in gold last night as well, and and here tonight in the Ferrari as well. Are you looking forward to hopefully, well, potentially we'll see you picking up a full-time seat soon. But looking forward to round 4 then. Japan, are you going to be reserving then for gold and silver then in that in the next event?
Yeah, I should be available on Sunday. On Monday, I don't know, but I tried today, did a few laps. It didn't feel too good. I think Australia's the best this game, so let's see how it goes.
All right, we'll see what happens then. But well done indeed tonight. Then a fantastic race from yourself, and then well done on the podium as well. Then I don't believe Gordo has joined us then, but Gordo then, of course, a race winner here tonight then, and fantastic stuff indeed for the Aston Martin driver as well, like I said, and brilliant stuff from Gordo for claiming the race win here in Australia. Then, thank you very much for everybody who's joined us as well. Then, sorry about the comment section being a bit messed up then from YouTube, but we'll give them a shout and tell them to sort it out. Not that we have any power about it, but there we go. And of course, bronze is on tomorrow night then, so stay tuned for the bronze season 8 round 3 Australian Grand Prix as well, followed on Wednesday with the 100% League. Then we're going to be previewing Japan for the other divisions as well, so stay tuned to ALR. There's plenty more action coming up, and we'll see you very soon.